Lisboa,
Bruxelles,
Sofia,
Warschau.
Europe is us with Dino.
Europe is us, but who are we? Stay with us and you'll find out. Today's topic, migration. Today's guest, Susanna Veevo, founder of the first youth NGO focusing on peace building in Estonia called PACE, and a policy and advocacy officer at the Estonian Roundtable for Development Cooperation. Susanna, the Roundtable is dealing with issues connected with development cooperation, environment, circular economy, but human rights as well. And how is your work linked with the field of migration?
We work together very closely with the government, with different governmental institutions. And yes, so migration is definitely one of the main topics that the network is currently working with.
In today's Watchdog's perspective, we won't be going far from Susanna. Our guest is Mart Valner, a journalist at Kuku Radio from Estonia.
If we talk about migration and a view on migration in Estonia, then the one thing we have to really consider is the fact that many Estonians look at the entire topic as we already have almost 300,000 migrants from the Soviet Union who were actually forcibly brought here. But the thing is, there is about 1.2 million people living in Estonia, and about a quarter of them are brought here in less than the last 100 years. So that is the basic point from where Estonians start to look at the migration. If we talk about the immigration that has happened latest. So because of the Ukrainian war, Estonians are really welcoming immigrants and people who are running away from the war. It wasn't like that during the immigration crisis in Europe 5 years ago, mainly because of the cultural background and probably because of the fear. The entire far-right movement in Estonia has really taken off and started during the migration crisis, and unfortunately they are still somewhat pretty well represented in the parliament. But if we talk about current situation, then Estonians look at the refugees from Ukraine as somebody who has suffered under Russia as we are. So if you come from the Ukraine, you are more than welcome here, and we have seen that a lot in social media in talking with people. But if you come from the different background, if you come from the Middle East, then unfortunately there is difference in how Estonians view the immigrants and refugees from countries like that.
At the Faculty of Social Work in Ljubljana, where I study, we had to present at least one migration story from our family's background. Our professor said that everyone has at least one. Could you, Susanna, remember a migration story from your family and share it with us?
My family has been from the same island for at least 8 generations. This is as far as we know. We just don't have any data about anything further. But so as far as I know, I am from my father's side, completely from the same island and with no other DNA, with no other roots. But my mother is from Tallinn, from the capital of Estonia, and she has been married to my father for 35 years. She has lived on the island for almost 20 years now, and still to this day, she is always considered, or she is referred to as the foreigner, or as the city girl, as the capital girl, because even after 20 years and even after having a family that is genetically and originally from the island, she is still not considered local, because the community is just so close knitted. And I think that this is quite a strong like parallel of what migration actually feels like to a lot of people, that even if you kind of do everything by the book, you do everything perfectly, you should be like the best example of migration, but there is still this kind of like obstacles to actually being considered a local. And I believe that this is, if people knew more about this, if people knew more how migrants are never really welcomed in their new communities, or how there are always like some kind of barriers between migrants and the hosting communities, then I think that we would just have a lot more solidarity and a lot more kindness towards different people, because we really don't know what others are going through.
Thank you, Susanna, and thanks everyone for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and listen to what we have to say, because Europe is us.
Lisboa,
Bruxelles, Berlin,
Warszawa,
Ljubljana.